Welcome back to the series. We were discussing the member index page. In the last video, we were analyzing how the AJAX dropdown was created dynamically using local storage. Let's continue. We are back at the code, and last video we were discussing this script, this AJAX script, which will load when the home page is loaded and collect the data using AJAX. And this is the function we were going to discuss, which is coming from this variable, and the name of the function is athlete dynamic location AJAX function. So let's take a look at it. All right, so the location is here under the underscore function, and this is the function name. And most important two things needs to be discussed when it comes to AJAX functions is, first of all, these two add actions right here. These are pretty much nothing but to take this string WP AJAX no priv, add it to the function name. And the same thing here, WP AJAX underscore, and the same function name. As I highlight this, you can see it's the exact same text here in 4 different places, which is basically the method name right here. And what it does is the first no priv means the no privilege. So this one allows the non-logged in users, which is rest of the world, and WP AJAX, this is for the admin level users. So this basically enables this function to be run by logged in and non-logged in users. And the other thing at the very bottom, which is very important, is to end this function with this die function, right? Because this is going to be launched using a JavaScript, which is this guy right here, using this AJAX call. And when that happens, the function comes in and calls this guy runs, and once it finishes, it needs to get out of the loop. So this die function kills this functionality and hands the data over to that JavaScript so that it can go on uninterrupted. So these two are very important to remember when creating a AJAX PHP function. Other than that, this is just a regular PHP function where I'm calling a location empty array, which I will use later. And important thing to look at here is that I'm using WP user query, not the regular query, but the user query, where I will be looping through all the members / users that this site has and going through them one by one. And inside the loop, I'm collecting the ID, the user ID, and passing it along to this BuddyPress function with this user ID, and calling this specific field ID where the nationality or the location is stored. So to track that down, we have to look at here. There's all the athlete members. Now, if I go to this extended profile here, I end up here, and if I scroll down a little bit, I will find the country of residence, which is this drop down here. This is where pretty much every member, like this athlete here, will choose their location or the country of residence, and this is the one we end up calling here and displaying here using AJAX. So once the nationality is collected here, I'm creating this options variable, which is pretty much a HTML string, which goes inside a select item, and then I'm pushing all of these into this locations variable right here, which we called right here above. And once we collect all these locations, now these athletes may come from different countries, but a whole bunch of them might come from one country, let's say Canada, US, right? So multiple countries can be repeated in this variable. So we cannot have that. So we use this array unique function to collect only the unique locations and fill this array up, create a brand new array, and then do a for each on this one and echo every single option. Pretty much every single time the unique countries will be echoed out right here, and then killing this function with a die. So this is the result that will be handed over to this script right here in this res or result variable. And this variable, we go ahead and store it in location array variable. And as soon as we collect that, we use a local storage functions, the set item, and create this local storage variable after using JSON stringify on this location array, which we received from previously from this AJAX function, which is athlete dynamic location AJAX function. Please ignore for these variables for now, because they're pretty much creating the same type of results for other dropdowns. So let's focus on just this one for now, and this pretty much explains all the others. And to verify this result, let's go check out where they're being stored. Okay, we're back at the home page. Now let's go and do an inspect. And let's go to application. And right here, when we go under local storage, you see all the variables right here. And this is what we just created. The local locations has all the countries that we collected from the database, and now it's just a string. So anytime we can collect this guy and drop it in to this select dropdown, we'll see the results. And let's go back to the script. So in here though, this is all this script is doing. This is just collecting this result and storing onto the local storage as discussed in that diagram we talked about. And this is not really creating that dynamic dropdown just yet. This is just getting the data ready so that the next JavaScript, which will be launched when the index page gets loaded, will go ahead and collect from that local storage. So let's go take a look at that one next. All right, so far we have covered this route from the homepage route, and using this AJAX JavaScript, this function to create the data here and eventually loading it up to the local storage. And this time we're going to cover this final script, which actually goes out there, collects the data, and dynamically creates this dropdown. So let's go take a look. This is the members index page, and this is the dropdown in question. So let's go first see what we can see at the backend HTML. It's right here. This is the ID that we're going to be using in our second JavaScript, and this time around we're going to use this data URL to collect our admin AJAX, and then append the data, the collected AJAX data, to this select as options. So let's go look at the JavaScript. All right. So this starts out normally that the ID we talked about, it loads it up. And please ignore this one because this is the same thing, but it's on the second page. For the advanced filter, we'll look at it when we cover the advanced filter page. But for now, we can see here that AJAX URL is being collected from that button using the data URL right here. And this is still calling that same PHP function that we talked about, athlete dynamic location AJAX, which is here, this guy. The reason we are still calling it is because, first of all, we're going to go ahead and look at the local storage. This time, instead of setting the item, we're going to parse the item. Because at this point, we are hoping that we will find something, because upon the homepage visit, we already created all the necessary data and stored them in this local storage variable. So first thing we do, we go ahead and check this and try to load it up. Now, if we do find it, we don't waste time here at all. We do not make any other AJAX call. We go straight down and append the data, the result, to the select button or select dropdown, and be done with it. But in case somebody directly visits the member index page, in that case, we may not have this data available in the local storage. So we just repeat the whole AJAX process. We make the call, and that's the only reason we are calling this function once again, and get the result here. And this time, in the first shot, we collect the data and immediately write it to the same variable after doing JSON stringify, so that it happens only one time. If there is an AJAX delay, it will happen only one time. And once we do collect that data by launching this AJAX function again, we write it to the local storage so that next time the user visits the same page, it can be read from that variable like that and immediately added to the dropdown and dynamically created, this guy. And the same process is being followed to generate this. And as we talked about the advanced filter, so if we go here, choose football, here also we have the same stuff. Location is being generated using the same structure. So that's about it for the dynamically loading, the dropdown, and the creating these guys. And next we will be looking into, like for example, this, we choose football, right? Class year, let's say 2020, like that. So this filter we'll be looking at in the next videos, and after that, the advanced filter. Thanks for watching.